What is going on, YouTube people? Cards and Comics here today for another edition of the weekly sports card market update. We have got a news-packed edition. We'll squeeze in some charts and graphs, but a lot of news that we have to get to on this Thanksgiving week. If you were in the good old US of A, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. May all of your Black Friday deals be spectacular. We've got some breaking / new PSA news with them testing a new feature, which is quite intriguing. We've got Black Friday nonsense. We have Prizm 2024 football preview. All sorts of stuff. Before we dive too deep, shout out to channel partner ComC.com. A massive week over there as they prepare to launch their Black Friday Spectacular. Always a big success and a big hit every single year with collectors. You could check out everything that they have to offer over on the ComC blog. $5 in credit for every $100 spent. Free shipping. Free seller promos. Typically, you could get a lot of good deals over on ComC on Black Friday weekend. So even if you are not a regular user, go over there and poke around. You might be able to find something to add to the old collection. Don't be sleeping on ComC.com and their Black Friday deals. All right, this is where I give you all a peek behind the curtain. I had recorded about a 10-minute section of this video talking about PSA offers. I finished it. I finished recording the entire weekly sports card market update. I was just getting ready to edit it when someone from PSA sent me a link to the PSA offers page that they had just put up. Awesome website, terrible timing. So I'm re-recording this section. The entire weekly sports card market update has already been recorded. I've already recorded the standalone video that went up on Saturday night talking about this. But there's a few things that I thought of and had people bring up that kind of got my mind going in a couple different directions regarding this whole nonsense. So let's dive into this and then we'll get into the other hobby news. So if you missed this, PSA offers is a new feature that PSA rolled out. I did a standalone video, ended up doing a standalone video on this on Saturday night. Originally, it was just going to be in the weekly sports card market update. So essentially, once your cards are graded, if they are in the PSA vault, select buyers, PSA partners, whatever you want to call it, have the ability to build basically buy lists, want lists, and they send offers out to you automatically. Now, I went into speculation territory on where this could go in the future in regards to, collectors being able to put out their own buy lists, offers coming in instantaneously, not having to go to the vault, that sort of stuff. Some things that have kind of spurred in my mind since then. One, I was having a conversation with a friend and they mentioned about, you're buying the card blind and that might not be for everybody. And that's a good point. I don't know that you don't get to see the card beforehand when you put the buy offer out. So you are putting a lot of faith, to the best of my knowledge. I don't know how this works on the opposite end, but I imagine this is how it works. That you're just telling it you want a PSA 10 insert card here. And if you don't get a chance to look at the card first, not all PSA 10s are created equal. Not all PSA 9s are created equal. If you're a stickler for centering, this might not be for you. The flip side of that is you do know that going in. So keep that in mind. You know what you're getting into if you put one of these offers out. Once again, we're in future territory here where eventually this works for your average person, if that ever happens. But even on the buying agents this is working for now, you don't know what the card looks like. You just know it's a PSA 10 Victor Silver Prizm. Is it slightly off-centered, top to bottom, left to right? You don't know. You're just getting a silver PSA 10 Prizm. So that's kind of one thing to keep in mind with this, is that you are blind buying the card. Now, you know what grade it is, but like I said, not all cards are created equal. The other thought that I had in talking this out with some folks, let's say this is super successful. Like, this really works. And a lot of the big repack buyers start sourcing a ton of their inventory from this. And this is, pie in the sky stuff. Will this happen? I don't really know. But let's say this thing is a massive success. For years, I've talked about on the channel that the hobby is, or the sports card market, whatever you want to call it, is an ecosystem. There are different components to the entire ecosystem, and every little component makes up a part. Some parts are bigger than others, but when you but when a part gets disrupted, it can have downstream unintended consequences, effects that you don't necessarily realize. And you might not even think that it generally pertains to you, but it can. It's 8 links in the chain away, and you just might not see it directly. Let's say this thing is a huge success, and repack buyers are getting a ton of inventory from here. Okay? From a repack buyer perspective, if I could source a lot of my inventory directly from PSA and not have to deal with paying and sending a bunch of buyers out to travel around the card shows all across the country to buy inventory. That is something a lot of these repackers do. They literally have people that work for them that their sole job is to go to card shows every single weekend and spend money and then send the cards back to them for their repack products. If all of a sudden, and even if it's not every single card, but let's say they get 50% of their inventory directly from PSA, that is less money going into potentially trickling down to card shows, to the buyers going out to the card shows. Let's say I'm a repacker guy and I have 5 buyers that go around the country for me buying cards. Okay, I'm hooked up with this PSA Direct program. This is going gangbusters. I'm getting tons of inventory straight from the source. Don't got to mess around with nothing. This is easy. Maybe I only need 3 buyers now. Don't underestimate the impact that one repack buyer can have on a small to middle-sized show. One guy walks in the room and needs $50K in inventory for a repack. That's a lot of money floating around the room for a dealer. If there's one less of those in the wild, that could have implications. You might think this is a stretch, but it only takes pulling a couple of buyers out of card shows to start impacting the show in little ways. So that was something else that kind of popped up in the back of my mind, kind of thinking about this, talking through it with some folks. This is what happens. I record the videos, I get them out as quick as possible, and then you can continue to talk. I'm in the comment section reading stuff, talking to people in DMs and in Discords and things like that. And then other things pop into my head about like, oh, wait, what if it went this direction? What if it went that direction? What if they did this? So curious to see where this PSA offers things go. Maybe I'm overplaying this. Maybe I'm making a big deal out of nothing. But I do think this potentially has massive implications for the hobby at large if this goes certain directions. I don't think it's anywhere near that yet, but I think this has the potential to really go crazy places with all the different angles to it, from collectors being able to take advantage of it, like individual folks being able to put bounty lists or want lists out there into the wild, to, it potentially impacting the repack market, which trickles down to shows and has all these other ancillary effects to it. Curious for any additional thoughts that you had on the PSA offers thing. With that, let's go ahead and slide back into the weekly sports card market update. MVP buyback. We have Ohtani and Judge 100% confirmed as our Topps MVP buybacks. You can now cash in your Topps Chrome and your Topps Chrome logo fractors in for store credit. If you search MVP buyback, it'll bring you to the Topps Rift website and show you how it works. Find your local store, bring them in, and you could buy singles or wax. Obviously, check with your local store to make sure that everything is good and they don't have any limits or anything. I have about 200 bucks worth of MVP buyback stuff. Maybe I'll snag a box of Bowman Draft since I missed that on the initial pre-sales and releases. I don't know. But I got 200 bucks sitting in my pocket. These are good. I believe it's a much shorter period this time around. I think it's the end of January is what I saw floating around on that. So double check that as well. Next up, the Panini release schedule gets a little bit of an update. And we actually have our first sign of 2024 basketball coming in January 2025 with NBA hoops. Now, weak class for the most part. McLean for the Sixers has been pretty hot to start the season, but there's not really a huge chase. Breakers, depending on what pricing ends up being, and shops and Panini in general could take a bloodbath on 2024 NBA product. And we're going into January 2025 and still getting 2023 NBA product. It amazes me that all this time Panini still has yet to be able to catch up on their release schedule. I don't think it's done them any favors at all. We have a slew of 2024 football product, including the big one, Prizm Football, coming Wednesday, December 18th, which everyone will lose their mind for. We will react to boxes getting open and people getting absolutely slaughtered. As part of this, we did get a preview image for 2024 Prizm, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like it. It's a mishmash of some previous years for sure. You definitely get some early Prizm vibes off this thing, but I actually think it's a pretty solid design for Prizm. I could be very hit or miss on Prizm. Unlike in this one, I think the silvers are probably going to look really, really nice on this. Centering will be a nightmare to try to figure out, but I do like that design, personal preference. Here are some other card designs here. The one that really stood out to me, well, besides this stupid looking thing on the, I think, what are these, the anime cards or whatever? Sure, whatever, not for me. But the Color Blasts, the dual Color Blast. I don't think this is the first time that they've done these. I personally, out of the short print sets, Kabooms, Color Blasts, Downtowns, all that jazz, I prefer Color Blast. I think Color Blasts are my favorite out of all of them, just in terms of looks. I like both the white and the black. They just look like really nice cards to me. So those will be in there as well. Oh boy. Let's switch over to Topps. The Skeens Livy dual auto card. You knew it was going to exist at some point in time. I can't believe it took them this long to do it. The two of them sitting on the couch at the awards ceremony is chef's kiss classic. Gotta love it. So that was a Topps Now card that was up. They did a bunch of Topps Now cards for MVP awards. One with the dual auto relic in there. I actually didn't end up purchasing any of those. The other thing that Topps showed off last week, this is from the Ohtani 50/50 boxes that are coming out later in December. These three cards right here are the big chase. These are game used from the 50th home run game. We have the logo man, we have the New Balance logo off the batting glove, and then the pants logo there on that one. Great looking cards. Topps Dynasty Black. New insert product hit, whatever, specifically for this product. One thing that I hope that they do, Topps, if you are listening, please, for the love of God, flip these around in the mag. Topps Dynasty always face the other direction, with the mag being on this side of the card with the sticker over it. It's a little thing, but I've already seen Dynasty collectors go crazy over the fact that they have it in the mag backwards. More Topps nonsense. Topps Chrome, or Top 2024 Bowman Chrome Sapphire went on sale this past week. $279 a box. Sold out in about 2 minutes. They are reselling on the secondary market for almost $600. I had them in my cart. I was checking out. I got the spinning wheel of death while my payment was processing. and they sold out while my payment was processing. So close, yet so far away. The other thing that went up this week was for Montgomery Club members. Topps Chrome Update Sapphire Edition went up. I believe that was $400 a box. That will most likely be coming to the general public here probably this week, or maybe they push it off till next week because of the holiday. But usually it's about a week or two after the Monty members get their crack at it. That will be a monster release. Topps Chrome Update is, say what you will about it, has an insane checklist, and now you are getting it sapphired out with a, depending on what the auto checklist looks like, could be a absolutely massive product that will also probably sell out instantly. I kind of hope they do the EQL thing. I don't know why they didn't do it for Bowman Chrome Sapphire. Didn't make a lot of sense to me. It literally sold out in a minute. Why not do the EQL for that? And then they do EQL 2 days later for Gilded, which I know is a popular product as well. So I don't know. Just seems weird not to run that for all of your Sapphire sales when you know they're all going to be cluster Fs. Family show. It's a Sunday. This thing, I have not taken a crack at this yet because there's been a lot of other nonsense going on. This is a 2018 Bowman Ohtani rookie auto. The problem is the auto didn't always look like this. At one point in time, it was just a regular Ohtani auto, and then they had him wipe it and they wiped it and had him re-sign it. This is disclosed on the listing, so this is a known thing. They're not trying to hide this. This has been a hot button issue most of the week around the hobby. I am of two minds of this. Clearly, if you wanted to have this done, you could have just got a base card and had him sign the base card. You didn't have to wipe the auto off and have him sign it, re-sign it, when you could have just used a base card if that's all that you wanted to do. I don't like that, it says like on the back, this auto is officially licensed and guaranteed by Topps or whatever. Once you wipe it off, that kind of sets a weird precedent. Now, like I said, they are disclosing it. They're not trying to hide it. If you want to do this, just have him sign a regular base. There's plenty of cards out there, rookie cards even, that he could have signed. So it makes it feel like you're trying to pull a fast one, even though they're disclosing it. I don't know that I personally would pay a huge premium for this card. It's a weird one. It is a really weird one. I'm at least, the one thing I am glad to see is that they are very upfront about what is going on with this card in regards to it being disclosed in the item description that it was wiped. It does have a Beckett certification with it. I don't know that means much anymore, but I don't know. I'm a little torn on this one. I don't think that I like it. I just don't like the idea of wiping pack pulled autos. Seems like a bad precedent to set. So that's the part that kind of scares me with it. It's a great looking card. It looks cool with that signature, but I don't know that I'm vibing with this one. Next up, debut patches are beginning to hit the market. As of time of recording on Saturday evening, we still do not have the Skeens debut patch pulled, but the Ellie and the Pete Chrome Armstrong were pulled and already done a walkthrough service and got the 10/10s in the old PSA slab. Kind of crazy because these cards are thicker and PSA generally grades kind of tough on thicker cards. So to see them both get a PSA 10 is pretty unique. And then with the 10 auto, that's obviously a little bit easier to knock out. But a 10 on a thick card with PSA is no easy task. I honestly don't know if it was a 10 versus a 9. I don't know. The person that wants to spend a crap ton of money on the Ellie, are they all of a sudden going to spend more because it's a 10? I get the whole argument around, well, why would you even grade a 101, whatever. I get getting it graded to a degree. Like, a lot of people just wanted it in the slab for protection purposes. I just don't know that I'm paying a massive premium for a 10 over a 9 if I really just want the debut patch. Like, that's the part that baffles me a little bit. The only difference there would be is if maybe like it's a really low grade, like if it's a PSA 6 or 5 because there's like a massive crease or indent or tear or something like that, or a corner's jacked. That's a little bit of a different story. But as long as the card is relatively okay, I don't know. I feel like whatever, let's say this card's worth 100 grand. I don't know that it being in a PSA 10, 9, or 8 holder shifts the value that much. Maybe I'm wrong on it. It's the only one in existence. It almost doesn't matter what it is as long as the card's not completely destroyed. But I get why someone would want it graded just for the protection standpoint and also the authentication. And in this case, you would get the PSA guarantee that goes along with it. Let's slide into some charts and graphs over in Market Movers. We're running a little bit long here today, most likely. Old Mr. Joel Embiid. Oh man, the Sixers are a mess. As of time of recording, he is out for a couple days due to swelling in his knee after what has been an absolute disaster of a season since the Olympics. This is going back 180 days, and I'm actually surprised his cards are not down more. Now, we're looking at a PSA 10 base here. That's the red line. And then, or I'm sorry, that's the blue line. And then we have a PSA 9 silver because the 10 is not sold in a few months. That card's down about 30%. The base is down about 20%. I didn't know what to expect when I pulled this up to look at it, but I honestly expected it to be down more. There is no way in hell I would be buying Embiid cards right now. He looks broken physically and mentally, and I'm just worried that his body is just completely cooked already at, I believe, what is he, age 30? He just does not look like a high-powered NBA superstar anymore, and he did really just not that long ago. Next up, check in on the old Wemby machine. He had a slow start to the season, and he's been tearing it up a little bit lately with that 50-point game, and he's been on a tear about the last week or two. Not like a huge drop-off considering the season started. This is over the last 60 days, so this goes back before the season began. If you go back much further than that, you're still kind of catching the new release wave. Down about 13%. Not crazy on his silver Prizm. Holding pretty strong around that $800-ish number. Drops down to $750 every once in a while, but $750 to $800 for a Wemby silver Prizm PSA 10. We'll see what happens as the season moves on, but so far holding okay. A lot of price fluctuation I've noticed still in the Mercury stuff as the market still kind of tries to figure itself out with those Wemby autos all hitting the market at the same time. Daniel Jones cut this week by the New York Giants. His last sale just a couple of days ago on his PSA 10 silver Prizm, $3.25. I know we joke a lot about cards going to zero, and that, you know, it's all tongue in cheek. Cards don't actually ever go to zero. They'll always be worth at least fractions of pennies in some regards. But this one came damn close. A PSA 10 silver for $3.25. At peak, we're looking at all data. One person bought and sold. I'm sorry, there's 3 sales that day. 1.57K back in September of 2020. Yikes. Now that's an outlier sale, but plenty of transactions around the $500 mark and more. And then a lot around the $200 mark until it went all the way down. Just recently, let's see, what was it back a year ago, right before the season started, beginning of September 2023, $275, and then a straight shot down. Once the season started, it dropped all the way down to $60 1 month into last year's NFL season, and then it's been sitting at about that level for a while, and now we are down to $3. We'll see what team he ends up on. Probably going to have, honestly, a very nice career as a backup quarterback, with maybe he gets a shot to see if he does have it or not with a legitimate organization. Sorry, Giants. But boy, oh boy, what a fall in price on that one. Last but not least, AR-15. on the way back up again. And this is a classic case of football card, modern, ultra modern football cards in the COVID and post COVID era. Through the moon in the summer, plays like crap, prices crash, has a little bit of a timeout, whatever, starts to pick up again in play, and prices start creeping back up after the low point in the season. We've seen this time and time again. Now, does it hold? I don't know. Could go right back down again if he craps the bed. But for a long time during the dark weeks of the NFL season with him, his silver prism got down to around 100, 125 bucks. Back in the summer, it was going for almost 500. Right now, it's back up to about 175, 180-ish, maybe close to 200, but 175 to 200. So it's already starting to go back up again. We'll see where it replateaus back out at. A lot of that will depend on how he plays, but we see this time and time again. A lot of these guys will bottom out in season and then start to trend back upwards. Now, not everybody. It's not some surefire thing where you just buy every scrap heap player and they're going to take you to the moon. It's not how it works. Got to pick the right player, get a little lucky, get some good on-field performance, things like that. But historically, you see a lot of your best deals made, a lot of your best plays, in air quotes, if you will, made during the actual NFL season for flipping purposes. Sell here, sell in the summer, sell in the early fall, sit back, relax, and then come in and pick up the scraps and then see what happens. It's usually your best way to do it with football, typically. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. Once again, good luck on your Black Friday deals. Typically, a lot of good deals on wax. Last year was kind of mid on wax Black Friday. The year before was really good. So we'll see what this year has in store for us. Blowout, David Adams. Also, do not sleep on your local LCSs and LGSs if you're in it for Pokemon and Magic or other TCGs. Pay attention to those shops. If you're not sure where they're at, do a Google search around you for local gaming stores, local card shops. Look their pages up on Facebook. That's where a lot of the local shops post their Black Friday deals. You might be able to get, I've gotten tremendous deals locally over the last 2 to 3 years. So don't sleep on that. Pay attention to what's going on locally. You might be able to get your best deals there and support your local businesses as well. So that's all I got. Catch you boys and girls in the next one. Gobble, gobble. Peace.